Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Discovery of Pigsy's tomb in a small mountain village in Yunnan. The story dates back to 2006. That year, in a remote mountain village in Yunnan, an elderly villager named Liu Wang, who was herding cattle, experienced something truly bizarre. One afternoon, as usual, he took his cattle up the mountain. But when he returned to the village, he realized one of the cows was missing, without leaving a single trace behind. Panicked, Liu Wang quickly retraced his path along the grazing route. Halfway up the mountain, he unexpectedly came across a large cave he had never seen before. Strange noises could be faintly heard from the entrance, rising and falling in pitch, sounding like whispers or perhaps the growls of some wild beast, sending chills down his spine. But determined to find his lost cow, Liu Wang mustered up his courage and, despite his fear, grabbed a flashlight and stepped into the pitch-dark cave alone. He followed the faint sound of the cows mooing, slowly groping his way forward. Before long, deep in a shadowy corner of the cave, he finally found the missing cow. Relieved, Liu Wang was just about to lead the cow out when his flashlight swept across the cave walls and landed on something shocking. A coffin, quietly resting in the corner. In that moment, he was overwhelmed with fear, his scalp tingled and his heart raced. He grabbed the cow and fled the cave in a panic, not daring to glance back even once. Back in the village, Liu Wang recounted his terrifying experience in the cave. The story spread like wildfire. People were both frightened and intrigued, and soon the entire village was buzzing with speculation. Not long after, the story reached the ears of local archaeologists. They sensed that this was no ordinary event, and quickly assembled a team to investigate the cave. Under Liu Wang's guidance, the archaeologists entered the cave cautiously, armed with flashlights and equipment. After walking for about 10 minutes, they finally reached the deepest part of the cave, where they saw the mysterious black coffin. The coffin was jet black and shimmered strangely under the flashlight beam, giving it an eerie appearance. Instead of opening it recklessly, the experts examined the coffin carefully from all angles. Then, behind the coffin, they made an even more astonishing discovery, a rake about 2 meters long. Though rusty in places, it was mostly intact and clearly not a modern artifact. Its design was strikingly similar to the legendary nine-toothed rake from folklore, which instantly drew intense interest from the archaeologists. This unexpected find only deepened the mystery. Who had hidden this rake here? And who, or what, lay inside the coffin? With a multitude of questions swirling in their minds, the archaeologists cautiously pushed open the coffin lid. With a loud creak, a putrid stench poured out, so foul it was almost unbearable. Yet despite the nausea, they peered inside. What they saw was a strangely shaped skeleton. The bones were largely intact. But the most shocking part was the skull. It resembled a pig's head. The sight was more chilling than any horror movie, leaving everyone at the scene gasping in terror. Even more jaw-dropping was the discovery of another weapon next to the skeleton. One that resembled the previously found rake. Faintly carved on it were the characters, "For Wu Ning's use only." The experts exchanged stunned looks. A bold thought flashed through their minds. Could this be the legendary tomb of Pigsy, Zhuge? Although the speculation may sound absurd, the pig skull and the rake found in the coffin inevitably lead people to think in that direction. However, just as the experts were preparing to bring the pig skull back to the research institute for further analysis, a group of villagers suddenly gathered at the entrance of the cave. They were emotionally agitated and strongly opposed the removal of the remains. They shouted loudly, "This is our ancestor, no one is allowed to move him." Faced with the villagers' anger and protests, the archaeological team had no choice but to suspend their operation and temporarily withdraw from the site. Back at the research institute, the experts couldn't stop thinking about the experience. They decided to conduct a more in-depth investigation of the village. They wanted to find out, why were the villagers so convinced that the person in the tomb was their ancestor? And how was the legend of Pigsy, Zhuge, so closely tied to this remote mountain village? Later, the archaeologists discovered an ancient temple at the entrance of the village. Surprisingly, the deity worshipped in the temple was neither the Buddha nor Guan, but rather Zhuge, the pot-bellied, rake-wielding character from Journey to the West. Yes, the very same, silly but lovable martial Tianping. At first glance, this might sound ridiculous, but in this small mountain village, Sichuan village, worshipping Zhuge has been a long-standing tradition. In fact, the temple remains a popular pilgrimage site, frequently drawing worshippers from all directions. The scene is lively and bustling, something rarely seen elsewhere in China. According to the villagers, Zhuge is revered as a divine being in their hearts. This belief dates back to a period of chaos long ago. Back then, Sichuan village was frequently harassed by bandits, and the villagers lived in constant fear. Then, one day, a tall and burly man suddenly appeared. And in the blink of an eye, he defeated the bandits with overwhelming force, liberating the entire village. The villagers were deeply grateful and hailed him as a hero. But when asked about his identity, the man always gave vague answers and avoided responding directly. Later, he fell in love with a local girl named Gao Tsuelan, and the two planned to marry. However, on the eve of the wedding, the hero suddenly transformed into a pig-like creature. Afraid of frightening his beloved, he quietly disappeared without a trace. When the villagers learned the truth, they didn't reject him. On the contrary, their respect for him only deepened. Together, they built a temple in his honor. And, based on collective memory, sculpted a statue of him. From then on, the legend of Zhuge has been passed down from generation to generation in Sichuan village. At first, the experts found this all hard to believe. After all, Zhuge is a fictional character from Journey to the West. How could he possibly have left real-world traces? But with the discovery of the humanoid pig skull in the coffin, the ancient rake, and the orally transmitted tales from the villagers, the experts began to waver. Perhaps, behind all this, there was a forgotten truth lost to history. To get to the bottom of the mystery, the experts pored over a vast number of ancient texts and records. Eventually, they stumbled upon a tantalizing clue in old archives. It turned out that in ancient times, there really was a spiritual practitioner named Zhu Shijin. He was exceptionally intelligent and highly enlightened, and eventually, through a twist of fate, he became a monk. His virtue and wisdom quickly became renowned across the land, even reaching the imperial court. The emperor personally appointed him to journey westward in search of Buddhist scriptures, a journey that brought him great fame. And the story of this Zhu Shijin bore a remarkable resemblance to the character Zhuge in Journey to the West, sparking endless curiosity and speculation. However, the true origin of the pig-headed human body, remains and the ancient rake found in the cave was eventually uncovered by the experts. It turned out that everything had been carefully staged by the villagers to attract tourists. Tourism in Sichuan village had been developing quite well. But in order to further expand its influence, the villagers crafted a legend related to Zhuge. They arranged props like a mysterious coffin and a rake inside the cave in hopes of drawing attention and attracting outsiders. With the arrival of archaeological experts, the story began to spread, and their objective was successfully achieved. Although the revelation of the truth was somewhat disappointing, the tale still retained a sense of legend and humor. Perhaps this, too, is a form of folk culture. Between reality and imagination, stories preserve the memory and hope of a village. According to some literary experts, the name Bajie is virtually a household name in China. He also goes by the name Zhu Wuneng and is one of the main characters in the classical novel Journey to the West. Originally, he was not a mortal, but Marshal Tianping in the heavenly court. responsible for commanding the Heavenly River Navy, a powerful and prestigious position. Unfortunately, this Marshal Tianping once made a terrible mistake while drunk. Not only did he harass the celestial maiden Chang'e, but he also stormed into the Donyo Palace in his drunken state, overturned a key celestial hall, and even ate the Queen Mother's sacred Lingji delicacies. A severe violation of heavenly laws. As a result, the Jade Emperor furiously banished him to the mortal world. He intended to reincarnate as a human but ended up mistakenly reincarnated into a pig's body. Thus he was born with a pig-like appearance. After descending to the mortal realm, he married a local woman named Lady Gao and hid in a cave called Yunzhang Cave. Later, Guanyin Bodhisattva enlightened him and guided him to convert to Buddhism, giving him the Dharma name, Wuneng, and instructing him to wait at Gao village for the monk who would journey to the west to retrieve scriptures. When Zhang Xianzhong and his disciples passed through Gao village, Zhuge Liang took Zhang Xianzhong as his master and formally joined the pilgrimage. On their journey, although Zhuge Liang was often lazy and sneaky, he was honest and sweet-talking. He often acted meek, which earned him frequent sympathy from Zhang Xianzhong. In contrast, Sun Wukong, who had a fiery temper and often fought demons, was often misunderstood and scolded by Zhang Xianzhong. At times, Zhuge Liang would even fan the flames, saying words that sowed discord, which led Zhang Xianzhong to banish Sun Wukong twice, causing tension among the group. It wasn't until they went through the trial of the true and false Monkey King that Zhang Xianzhong finally recognized Sun Wukong's loyalty. From then on, the master and his disciples began to work together with unity of purpose on their pilgrimage. When facing demons, Zhuge Liang gradually stopped hiding and began to fight more bravely, often joining Sun Wukong in battle and becoming a dependable partner. Together, they defeated many formidable foes, including the Bull Demon King, the nine-headed insect, the leopard demon, and the python spirit. Although Zhuge Liang never completely gave up his lust for women, his self-control improved greatly. He personally defeated female demons like the jade-faced fox, the Princess of All Saints, and the apricot fairy, showing a growing sense of responsibility and maturity. After the four disciples successfully retrieved the scriptures, the Buddha rewarded each of them with a divine title. Sun Wukong became the victorious fighting Buddha, while Zhuge Liang was named the cleaner of the altar. Though his title was not as prestigious as Sun Wukong's, he still became a deity of merit and accomplishment in the Buddhist pantheon. Zhuge Liang is a very unique character. He embodies both the hard-working, kind-hearted side of ordinary people, and their minor flaws like greed, laziness, and lust. He possesses divine powers, yet retains pig-like physical traits. This blend makes him one of the most relatable and down-to-earth characters in Journey to the West. One could say that Zhuge Liang is a brilliant fusion of human nature, divine nature, and pig nature. A character who makes readers laugh while also evoking deeper reflections. A testament to the profound understanding and tolerance for human complexity in traditional Chinese culture. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.